Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you. Today, I can finally say GTX 780. Don't have to mess about with any of the other NDA shenanigans. I'm finally allowed to talk to you about it. Even though I'm filming this beforehand and I'm not meant to be saying about it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Anyway, 780, we've known it's, going to be coming for a long time. And let's face it, it has been a bloody long time as well. Now, first thing people are going to want to know, because there's been a lot of chat about it being a cut down Titan. And the first thing I tell you is the price. I know Aria in the UK, aria.co.uk, they've got them going on the shop tomorrow morning or Thursday morning, the NDA day, whenever you want to put it. They've got them going on the shop for 569 quid upwards. Obviously, the price is going to depend on the brand, what's in the box, warranty, all that kind of stuff. But their starting point is going to be 569 at launch. Putting that into kind of, consideration with the Titan when it went at launch, a lot of them were going out at 849. So there's almost £300 difference. Now, I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty too much, because most people saying it being a Titan LE or a cut down Titan, most of that was relatively true. But what we're going to do is we're going to look through a few benchmarks, look at some gameplay, and then we'll wrap everything up in a nice big conclusion right at the end, because generally when you think cut down, you instantly think, do you know what I mean? It's going to be nowhere near as good. It's going to have been put on a diet. Where have they made the corner cuts? And yeah, they have done a little bit. And I do want to talk to you about speed binning, or the fact people are saying it's, a Titan that didn't make the grade. And I will talk to you about all of that in the conclusion. But it's a surprising one, and I do mean it's a surprising one. And I've got to get out of this introduction now, because I'm itching to tell you stuff already. So what we're going to do is I'll give you a look at the card, but to be fair, it does look exactly like a Titan, but I'll show you anyway. Then we'll show you the rig, which is already here anyway, but I'll show you around the rig. Then we'll move into some benchmarks, a bit of gameplay with some of the big titles at the moment. I know people are going to moan I've not got Metro in this, but Metro, the new Metro is going to be coming up in reviews from this point onwards. And then we'll crack into that nice big conclusion right at the very end, and I will try and cover as much details as possible. I don't know why, but I'm kind of sat with the GeForce box, because when we get press samples, they come in a special Nvidia box, and this one's just a nice black box, as you can see. But you won't ever see a retail box like that. You'd be amazed how many people ask if they can have these boxes afterwards. A bit like at iSeries when you have the box gifts. Maybe I should put the 680 box up as some daft flipping competition prize or something. Empty box. And I said 680, but I did mean 780. Anyway, like I said, we'll have a good close look at the card up close. Rig, benchmarks, gameplay, conclusion. I've got to be quiet and move on. Okay then, peeps. Now for a close-up look at the card itself. Now, you would be forgiven for thinking that we were handling a Titan. If you have a look up in this top corner, you can see it does say GTX 780, but on this side of the card, that's about as, that's about the only real difference. And if I show you this is the heatsink of my Titan, because I've still got the XSPC water block on it. They are exactly the same. As far as we are aware, they're interchangeable as well. They're literally just the same, which, going forward could mean that the 780 blocks are going to be the same as the Titan blocks. But I am waiting for a water block manufacturer to get back to me to confirm that. But yes, so we've got the lovely open window showing the fins inside. It is a vapour chamber all underneath as well. We do have a 6-pin and an 8-pin up here. Something else is it does light up like the Titan does, which I'll show you later on in the video. 2 SLI ports, so we know it will do single SLI, but that does mean that this opens the door to, they say it supports triple SLI, but you will get people doing quad SLI for benchmarking and stuff like that, and really quad SLI is only for benchmarking, Now, on the outside of the car, the exterior of the car, the only real difference between the Titan and the 780 is on the back. And if you have a look here, we've got little places where you can see on the Titan the memory would have been, and on the 780 it's not. To the point where you can even see where the solder points would have been. There we go. You can see where the solder points would have been for the memory, and it's just obviously not on there anymore. So really that's it. If we go around to the connection end, just to give you a quick look, we've got 2 DVIs, a HDMI and a full-size DisplayPort. But that really is essentially it. Like I said, once it's in your rig, if you missed the memory that was missing, you would be thinking that someone had a Titan in there. To be fair, if you were to get one of these and stick a backplate on there, you wouldn't really know without having to get your head in the PC anyway. But that's enough of that. Let's crack on with the rest of the video. Okay, so you've seen it up close, so let's have a look at the rig as we're going to be using it today. We'll start in the bottom. Actually, I should lean in and do this, just so that we can see things a little bit better. That's better. Right. So, we've got a Corsair AX1200i in the bottom with red individually braided Corsair cables. The power supply is overkill. You need to remember this is my bench rig, so I just keep the 1200 watt in there, and that's so that will easily power 4 cards if I wanted it to. If you really wanted, you could easily run this rig off of an AX760i if you wanted. But anyway, we've also got a Corsair Neutron GTX 240GB in there. There is a mechanical storage drive, but that's just for, this is the rig I review on. If we move up, there's an Asus Rampage 4. We've obviously got the reference 780. There's a H100i in the roof in push-pull. Yes, it does look a bit daft in the 900D case, but like I said, this is just kind of my review rig and we wanted to run it in a case, and trying to work around water cooling all the time, and the amount I'm pulling bits in and out, it just doesn't work. Then we've got 16GB of Corsair Dominator Platinum in there, and then there's a 3960X at 4.6 GHz. That's really about it. So that is our test rig. We've also got an Asus 2560 by 1440 monitor. You will see later on that we do 1920 tests and 2560 tests. All the games are maxed out as much as we possibly can do, unless stated otherwise. But yes, it's really now time for us to go and have a look at some benchmarks. Just a quick night shot, just for all of you people that like to see the lights and like to see the rig all kind of put together. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, night shot over. Or should we just wait a little bit longer? Yeah, maybe just a little bit longer. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Okie dokie then peeps, so a quick look at some benchmarks. Now I know people always say about the fact that I do screenshots, but I find this is just the easiest possible way for me to show you in videos. If you want to have a look at, you know, normal graphs and all of that kind of stuff, then all you need to do is go and click the link which is embedded in the video now to go to the OC3D website, and you can see the full review and all the graphs there. Now benchmarks. On the left hand side, look, wiggle, 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 yeah! We've got the GTX 780, and then on the right, wiggle, 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 yeah! We've got the Titan. So yes, the Titan is in front, but you know, we were expecting it. Now in Firestrike, we can see that there's really about a 400 point difference. So not a huge amount. Now if we go to Firestrike Extreme, you can see on this side, validation warning, graphics card not recognised. That's because the 780 is technically not out yet. If we go to this one, you can see that gap with Extreme goes down to about the 200 point mark, but we would kind of expect that really. Still a really not a massive gap. If you look at 3D Mark Vantage, sorry, 3D Mark 11P, just to show you quickly, I'll bring these up. Same with these. You can see the points open up to about 1300, and that's really, as you get through the older benchmarks, the point gaps will increase between the two. But a 1300 point gap for 300 quid really ain't, you know what I mean? But we'll cover that in the conclusion. The only other one that I want to talk to you about is Catzilla, because this is one that I'm starting to use a lot more of now. Let me find it on the other one. Oh, where did I put it? I can't find the Catzilla benchmark. Absolutely chuffing typical. Anyway, that was a waste of time. Anyway, the Catzilla benchmark is about somewhere. I just need to find it. Anyway, so right. Not a huge difference with the benchmarks. What I'm going to do, and this is the reason why I'm keeping you recording as I'm showing you this. I'm just going to go and open CPU, hardware monitor, sorry. And if I kind of highlight this bit, you can see that we've got maximum here, minimum here, and the actual value at the moment here. Now what we're going to do is I'm now going to open Unigine Valley, and you can see all the results down the right hand side. And we're essentially going to max this out at 2560 by 1440, and we're going to let this baby run. You can see I'm standing up now. We're going to let this baby run. Now I'm going to let that run for 30 minutes. We're just going to let that tick over. All the fans and everything are manual. There's no overclock there. It's all at stock. We're just going to let this puppy run, and yeah, we will come back in 30 minutes and see what the temps were like. Okay, chokey then, peeps. Unigine has been running for well over 30 minutes now. So we'll just clear that out, exit it rather. I'm going to move that out of the way. Right, and what we can do is we can zoom in, and you can see there, you can see where the 80 is. So we've got 80 on the outside, that was the maximum temperature, 25 in the middle, that was the lowest temperature, and then you've got 65, 64, 63 going down there. That's the temperature it is at the moment. Now the 80 degrees, it won't go above that because of the GPU boost too. And what it will do is Nvidia, or the cards, will find a core, pardon me, they will find a core speed and overclock to a nice stable core speed, but also balance that out with keeping temperatures down as well. And I found with the cards that I've worked with that they will pretty much get to almost the same sort of point every time, no matter whether you manually speed the fans up yourself anyway, and you have to kind of tweak between. Now if I open EVGA Precision, essentially what I mean, if I zoom out a little bit, is if you leave the card itself, it'll always get to roughly the same overclock, and it will do that. You have to go to this GPU clock offset and the memory offset to get any more from it than that. It doesn't matter if you put the fan on auto and stick it on 65%, for example. Once it's found that kind of stable point, all it will ever do if you leave the fans on auto is get to that point and then just keep it at a happy Larry 80 degrees. If you want to though, what you can do, say for instance that you don't like it being 80 degrees, you can drag this down and then go to 70 degrees, for example, or whatever. You can tune it to be as, you know, hot or cold as you really want. One thing I will say with the cooler though, it just out the box is ridiculously quiet. It's brilliant. It's as good as the Titan one because it is the Titan one. But anyway, we've had a quick look at some benchmarks, quick look at temps. Obviously, you can go and have a look at the full review if you want. But I think now it's time for us to have a look at some gameplay.
You're approaching the harvesting facility. Locate the 2 power alternators. I need you to close them off fast so we can safely shut down the Nexus. The energy fields around the System X device aggravate the mesial-temporal areas of the brain. We've witnessed hallucinations, feelings of déjà vu, false memories, sometimes even full dissociative identity disorders.
I'm not crazy. The visions are predictions, not hallucinations.
Whatever you say, Romeo 1. Just stay on mission.
Listen.
Hold up! Where's it coming from? Move to cover!
This is it. Shut the bastards down.
Thank you, Prophet.
Psycho, I'm in. Hacking the cell security overrides now.
Emergency power shutdown system request. Emergency power shutdown. Release control rod to shut down system. Emergency shutdown in effect. Switching to backup generators. Projecting System X containment view. Warning. System X containment failed.
What? No. They couldn't have been that stupid.
Can't believe I lost it. Motherfucker. anything?
No, nothing.
What?
Nothing! There's no one up here! They never make it up this far!
I need help here!
God damn you!
Lara, are you there?
Reyes, did you find Sam?
We're still on her trail.
I'm going to try and send an SOS from an old radio tower up here. Any tips?
Hey, Lara. You're gonna need to find the communications console. It'll look like a bunch of old switchboards.
Okay. I'll let you know when I find it.
Hey, wake up, we got an intruder. Come on, grab.
Congratulations to everyone that made it to the conclusion without skipping. Give yourself a pat on the back and go and get yourself a cup of tea and a cookie. And if mum moans, say TTL said it was all right. And if you haven't got a mum that's going to moan at you and it's your wife or your girlfriend, just tell her instead. Right. Anyway, so chit chat about Titan, then the 780, and then obviously a little bit about the 680 as well, because loads of people were moaning originally, and this is probably the point I should start with. Anyway, actually no, the point I should start with is award, and it's an absolute no-brainer gold award. To be fair, I should give it a better award than that, but I'll explain why now. People were moaning about oh, it's just a Titan that didn't make the grade. The thing is those people, they don't understand that the way the industry works is a thing called speed binning, and essentially they don't make that many different products like Intel cores or dies or wafers, however you want to put it. Essentially what they do is they make a very limited amount of different types, but then what they do is they speed bin them. So to put this into an easy kind of a way for it is, if we talk about the 2011 range, you've got the 3820, the 3930K, the 3960X, and now you've got the 3970X. Well, essentially, the 3970X is the best speed bins out of all of those processors as far as overclocking and multiplier boosts and all that's concerned. 3960X is kind of the ones that were still pretty damn good. The 3930Ks are generally the ones where they don't necessarily overclock as well. Maybe the cache wasn't a bit good, so they've just turned a little bit of it off. The 3820s are the ones where the cores didn't really cut the mustard, and they essentially just enable and disable bits. They don't actually make each one of those different processors specifically for that market. They just make a big group of them, and then whatever ones work well enough go in the specified range, and that's what's called speed binning. Now you may think, oh no, that's not really that good, but believe it or not, they have to do this to be able to keep the price down. You may think 550 quid is expensive for a graphics card, but when you consider the hundreds of millions, if it doesn't run into billions of a lot of it, it's probably hundreds of millions, but the amount of money that they plough into research and development is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, the card, the silicon, the bits may only cost, you know what I mean, a fraction of the actual retail price, but it's everything that's going on in the background. And it's only really I'm not going to say, maybe narrow-minded is a word, but maybe it's just the people that don't realise everything that's going on in the background. These companies do spend an obscene amount of money before it even gets to that, you know, manufacturing stage. And even then, they need to pay, you know, to send samples out to people like me. They need to pay for competition prizes. They need to pay for all this advertising that you see. And believe me, advertising's not cheap, because I sell quite a bit of it. So, you know, you kind of have to get that into your head. When you come to the 780, to say that it's a cut down Titan or a Titan that didn't make the grade sounds a bit harsh, but you're absolutely 100% right in all, you know, intensive purposes. Essentially what they've done is they've not stuck the extra 3 GB of memory on the back of the card, because as you've seen, all the slots are there, but it's not there. The core itself, the ones that I've seen, haven't overclocked as well. Memory's still been pretty good, but you know, memory's kind of, that generally does either work really well or doesn't really work at all. So memory's still the same, but the actual you know, card itself, or the core itself, yeah, you can see that's a slight bit of difference there. Problem is, and just to kind of chuck some numbers at you, Titan had 2,688 CUDA cores. 780's got 2,304. So you've lost about 300 CUDA cores there. But to put it into context, the 680 only had 1,536. So to do that in ascending order, 1,536, 2,304, 680, 780. So there's a huge gap between that. Then you've got 2,688, not so big, bigger gap. So, and generally, when we thought about the video memory, we did wonder, with especially the titles that would gobble that memory, but more so because we run 2560 by 1440 tests now, we did wonder whether the video memory might hold it back. Not at all, really. We didn't hit any kind of buffers or limitations or really get anywhere near that 3 GB to have been able to kind of done it. And we did wonder how much of an impact those CUDA cores would make on the games as well. As you've seen in the gameplay, because I've obviously overlaid, or I will overlay because I've not done it yet, but the Titan and the 780 results in the games is that there's not a massive amount in it. You're going to lose a little bit on benchmarks if you're really into your benchmarking and stuff like that. But for the most part, the gamers, you're not going to notice any difference at all. And this was the kind of point that I was trying not to say in the introduction, is you're not going to notice it really at all. To the point where, and this is something that's been bouncing around a lot with the other boys at OC3D, is the people that have bought a Titan are going to be massively, massively pissed, because there's sweet fuck all in it in the real world. Yes, if you're a benchmark hound and you want those extra 2,000 points on 3D Mark 11, or do you know what I mean? You want a couple of hundred extra points on the, Fire Strike Extreme or something like that. When it comes to benchmarks, yes, you're going to get that little bit further. But if we're talking real world gameplay use, sticking it in your rig and playing games, which, for the most part is what a lot of these cards are designed for, there's not a lot in it. Not enough to warrant paying that extra money. Now, Nvidia, there's always going to be that price difference. I don't want to say that because I know people are instantly now going to be saying, why do they charge so much for the Titan? The difference between the 3930K and the 3970X is pretty much 300 quid. And it's only cache that's different really on that CPU and a marginal bit of overclocking. Titan's exactly the same. You've got that massive price difference just for the people that have to have the very best for the money. The Titan will still make a marginal difference in benchmarks, and you will get a few frames per second extra. As more intensive games or larger resolutions take hold, more anti-aliasing, more graphics details and stuff, the Titan may start to pull in front that little bit more. But for the the average person with with a 2560 by 1440 rig at the moment, you're not really going to notice that difference. So don't go thinking Nvidia are doing some brand new thing where they're overcharging for one thing and this is just like the more accessible version. It's not. There's versions of it with AMD, there's versions of it with Intel. It's not a new thing to the market, and all I'm trying to do is cover the bases, because I know what the comments are going to be like, I know what people are going to be saying all over tinterwebs, and I'm trying to explain it to a point where they might kind of think twice and realise this isn't really such a bad thing. Because if you're bitching about the fact that the Titan's too expensive and why have they done it, why don't you just buy a 780? Because there's not a massive amount in it. But if you've got that extra disposable money, either mummy and daddy have got a credit card that they don't keep an eye on, or do you know what I mean, you are lucky enough and have the need to want the amp just to be able to say you've got a Titan, the options are there for you. Just like, as I've said already, 3930K and 3970X. I've got a 3970X in Orca. Why have I got a 3970X in Orca? Because I could. If it was my own money and I was going to the shops, I probably would have bought a 3930K. But like I said, I'm just trying to cover or more explain and expand on stuff to kind of let you into the way that I kind of understand how things are going on. Essentially, the 780 being released gives an amazing amount of power available to people. Now, 550 quid isn't going to be cheap by any stretch of the imagination. You're still going to need to have a fairly big wallet or fairly lucky to be able to get one of these. But essentially what I'm trying to say to you is you've got as near as damn it a Titan for £300 less, it's an absolute no-brainer. And the difference between the 7970, because I've not really covered this, the 7970 and the 680 were pretty close at launch. When the 680 come out, it had been nigh on engineered to come at 7970 speeds, quite purposely by Nvidia as well. They come in smack bang at the price, they were smack bang at the power levels, a little bit more on price, as we've always come to expect with Nvidia. And all that's ever changed hands since has been driver increments. Still to this day, if you have a reference 680 and a reference 7970, there's really not a lot in it. You know, a couple of frames either way in, you know, certain games, depending on, you know, how they were kind of designed at the start. The 780, however, makes both of those cards look, quite frankly, old, outdated. It literally is a humongous step forward. And this kind of now leads me on to another thing where people are going to start talking about the 7990, and then you are talking 2 cores though, and the 7990 will be quicker than the 780, fair enough, but it's going to be nigh on twice the price. Well, a little bit more. It's more expensive than a Titan, isn't it? But then what you've also got to consider is Nvidia going to have a dual core card coming later on? We still don't, you know, really know 100%. Now, the other thing that we want to talk about is people are going to ask me about, obviously the 780 is the head of the range. As far as we're aware at the moment, we don't know if there's anything above it, but there's blatantly going to be cards lower down. And there's a lot of kind of rumours about them being the older generation and stuff like that. And I can't really talk about that at the moment because the NDA for the lower generation cards is the end of the month. They've kept it quite separate. But something that if you've been aware of the rumours, because I'm not allowed to say it in this video, but if you've been aware of the rumours that are going round about whatever lower end generation cards are going to be there, I've already given you your answer about the difference. If you think about it, I've been talking to you about the difference between the 680 and the 780. I've told you already. Now, that's obviously, you know, until we start putting reviews live and stuff like that, we can't kind of go into comparing the 680 with whatever, you know, is going to be coming underneath the 780. But we've got a fairly good idea already. So that I really can't go into any more detail than that without quite literally getting my arse handed to me by Nvidia's lawyers. But later on, the NDA is slightly later on at the end of the month. It's all at once at the moment because we've obviously got this NDA, we've got the NDA at the end of the month, then we've got the Intel NDA, and then we've also got an AMD NDA, but it's an AMD, it's not graphics, so don't go getting excited. But essentially, to wrap it all up, is people wondered, should they be buying a 780? Well, if you were thinking about buying a Titan, I certainly wouldn't be looking to buy a Titan now. I would 100% be telling you to go and get one of these, because as far as I'm concerned, the 780 at this present moment in time is not the fastest single cord card on the planet, but it's the most sensible buy single cord card on the planet if you want an, you know, kind of mega frames per second and you know, really, really good benchmarks. The difference between this and the Titan in the real world really isn't worth it for anything other than EPEAN. And by EPEAN I mean it's just to tell people that you've got a Titan. People with lots of money, too much money, don't give a wank about, you know, money, are going to buy a Titan. Sensible people that, you know, have to work really hard for their money and that type of stuff aren't really going to think twice and should be getting a 780. I certainly don't foresee this card being beaten by a single cord card anywhere in the distant future. If AMD do have you know, an answer for this, then things are going to get interesting price wise. but this is a tall order to beat. This is probably one of the biggest graphics card leaps that we've had in a long time. And I know we already had the Titan, but what I'm saying is for the money, because obviously Titan was mega, and this kind of more accessible kind of extreme card. Anyway, I know I'm starting to go round and round in circles now. My neighbours, it's quite late. My neighbours are probably thinking I'm yet again talking to myself because they don't know what to do. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you. GTX780, absolutely epic, 110% worth an OC 3D Gold Award. It's been a long time since I've reviewed something like this and sat there thinking we need something higher than a Gold Award. But absolutely unreal, absolutely brilliant. Thoroughly enjoyed doing this as well. But I need to get off the camera, and yeah, you guys need a life. Don't forget, if you are watching this, there is going to be a live stream as well. If you're watching this, then you're practically on. If you're watching it at NDA as well, you're practically on time for to watch the live stream. If not, go and watch it when YouTube puts the recorded version up for me. But oh yeah, live stream, live review. Anyway, for now at least, this is Tiny Tom Logan with the Gold Award winning Nvidia GTX 780 out.